back to back, belly to belly, man, I don't give a damn. I done that already. Back to belly is a doomly jamboree. I heard the chorus, back to belly, I don't give a damn. I done that already. Back to belly is a doomly jamboree. To find out which one is smarter. Some say men, but I say no. The women got the man like a puppy show. Not me. It's the people who say that the men are leading the women astray. But I say, oh Lord, the woman are today smarter than the man in every way. That's right, the woman is smarter. That's right, the woman is smarter. That's right, the woman is smarter. That's right. That's right.
we don't.
That have to be on?
Well, yeah, this turns the mics on.
But for the rap.
We don't do the
So that comes on with T. Now I'm learning.
we don't normally like to complain, so we're not gonna complain.
See, it's moving now. Just-
You know, recently we've had some more issues with our Virgin Islands transit system. One of our cherished drivers had an accident. Fortunately, they were okay. They had to take a few days off, but they're back to work now. But the vehicle they were driving was damn near total. And so that put a monkey wrench, so to speak, in the paratransit service. Now, the powers that be at Vitran, in their great wisdom, they have not even come out and tell the public, well, we had an accident, we're down one driver, we're down one bus, nothing. They go along as business as usual, and so the wait time is even longer, you know. So my thing is this. I worked in the legislature for 2 years. We tried to bring them before us for accountability, and they tried their best to run and hide and play pelinky board, you know, and it's unacceptable. You're supposed to be serving the public, not just the public, but those least fortunate like myself who have a disability. And even those who don't have a disability that rides the fixed road bus. They only have 2 buses on the road. One bus on the main road, one bus running on the outer skirts from the terminal to Tight Village. There's no bus running on the Calcahoon route. And there are people that live by Mombiju area, Calcahoon, and Paradise and things that look, you know, for this bus. But the management is not coming out and saying anything. And when you open your mouth, you are deemed a troublemaker. You shouldn't say this, you shouldn't say that.
Wait, no, you're a troublemaker all the time anyhow. So don't even try
Doug,
that. Don't put
Doug,
that on Vitran.
Doug, hush your mouth. You see who the troublemaker is in the studio? He across away from me there. So, you know, we need to do better. They need to do better. And I'm hoping that the new administration that comes in cleans house. Because that's the only way we get a change. And I hope it's a change for the better and not for the worse. Because when past administrations came in and they made a change, it gotten better. The new administration came in, made a change back to the old ways, and it was reset about 10 years. So, I mean, there are people right now that are using the service that have not even gotten their welcome package, and the time is almost up for them already to recertify. This should not be. You know, there's a lack of accountability within this government. You know, and it's not just Vitran. Different agencies lack accountability. You know, but I'm speaking on what I know of, which is the transportation system and what it should be, how it should be. You know, I mean, because it affects them and those who relies on it, not just the fixed route bus, but the paratransit buses. You got approximately 5 new buses. One's in the shop because the transmission went. The other one got total. So now you have 3 buses. And they're using an old bus that needs a whole undercarriage rebuild. So you mean to tell me they can't get the parts, the ball joints, the shocks and everything and rebuild this undercarriage to give the people who paying this astronomical price at ease when they're riding on the bus? When you're riding on the bus, if you got false seat, you might shake it out your mouth. That's how bad the bus will shake. I mean, and nobody is saying anything. And when you call them, they give you all kind of excuse. Blow smoke up your rear. And it's like business as usual. And then another thing, the safety part of it. These paratransit buses, the seat belts don't work.
Wait now.
The seat belts don't work. Arthur, you need to start pulling them over. Arthur Joseph, pull them over and check the seat belts. And give Bytron tickets for having non-functional seat belts.
I see you the other day,
Yeah,
I tell you, it's a good thing I ain't bring you with me to register your car. Oh, Lordy me. Anyhow, it's all good. It's all good. Well, I have to make a non-paid, non-political ad.
Uh-huh.
But I gotta wait till I clear my throat.
Oh, I thought you was going to ask permission. So, Arthur Joseph, if you're listening, start pull them bus over and check them seatbelt. Send motor carrier enforcement out and start pull them over and check, make sure that seatbelt working, because I telling them the seatbelt ain't working, they're ignoring me.
Okay.
So the big guns need to come out and leave them know. If they don't get them thing in order, they're gonna start get fined.
So I have this unpaid non-political ad that I gonna put out here, okay?
Uh-huh.
Folks, I got a place here in Gallows Bay called the Bistro.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And they don't make what I have to call a real good corn muffin. Okay? A real good corn muffin. Yeah, they don't have other kind of muffin from time to time, but for a while there, they stopped making the corn muffin. And this morning in particular, it wasn't too sweet. It just had a little tinge, just nice, healthy, and yeah. And I so fortunate that I able to put a guilt trip on this man to make sure that when he come up here in the morning, he'll bring one for me. Okay? Because the last time Boomerang Eats were here, he clean up. Dog ain't got a thing. Anyhow.
Dog wasn't here. Dog like the boat on the jet set in ways and go about the business.
Oh, yes. Anyhow. The creator is good in so many ways. And speaking of that, the things that we have to deal with as a matter of life that we have to deal with. The circle of life. It's so funny. I'm coming down the highway. I have a passenger with me, fresh to the island for a while. So I decide to turn up the road to go by the bakery there in Spot Mall, pick up some TT bread.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I'm coming up the road past the school and heading up toward the intersection to enter into the Spot Mall. And here comes the fire truck, and behind the fire truck, the ambulance. Well, sir, I said, this must be serious. Fire and, you know, casualty at you know, serious business. Little did I know that that was the attempt to keep one of our culture bearers here with us. But apparently the creator said, I call in this one. You ain't getting no second chances. That was Edgy. You know, and I think back, like a lot of people think back on the experiences with Edgy. And of course, a big one for me was when we went to Denmark with 10 Sleepless Nights, especially because my son was with me. And through that experience of the various cultural presentations from Mokojombi to Kwelbe to quadrille, the instruments and everything else, he got an immersion that if Daddy had tried to take him to this and to that and to the other, you know, he might have feel like, oh, I rather play with my blades or go and talk on the phone with my friend them or whatever the case may be. But this was just a magical thing that happened. Okay, and Edgy was part of that magic there with the music school that hosted us there. And of course, there are many things to be said, many stories to be said. The fact of the matter is, Edgy, for those of you who don't know, he have a nickname, and it's called the Majestic. All right? Okay, I can't tell you the history of that name, but I tell you, the Majestic. Darby could tell you all about that one, probably. Darby know every story. It's almost as a cry. I shouldn't say that. Her name will come to me now. She got quite a few herself. Anyhow, so we all feeling that one, and we all going to miss him. And every time we hear that banjo playing, Edgy will come to mind. Every time we see some of these videos that we have done with the 10 Sleepless Nights, it's good memories, good memories, good memories. So that's one thing. Okay, you know, things has happened in life, and sometimes it's some people react with the woe is me when things happen because it happened to you or whoever the case may be. So sometimes we have this tendency to get into the woe is me part, okay? And then sometimes it works out so that things happen to folks, and it inspires them to do something for others, as opposed to turning inward and going the other direction. When you see people involved in the community and making a contribution, yes, it's okay to admire them, but please be inspired by them. Please be inspired by them, and in the process, hopefully, to get involved in your community also. Okay? Right about now, I'm going to put something for those of you who are on YouTube and Facebook. I'm going to put something on here and I'll leave it playing. So it's one of those things where, yeah, you might think that this young man here look good and you want to watch him. I ain't talking about me, I'm talking about Gerard. I want to see his face, right? But I'm gonna deprive you of that for a little while.
You need to stop it.
I need to stop it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna deprive you of that for a little while, so that you could watch something. Because in the process, I will begin to talk about someone and hopefully bring back some memories, since they are definitely very dearly departed to us here.
They say no sound on Facebook, they say.
I know that there's no sound on Facebook. All right. I don't know why that is, unless it's my voice and this microphone here.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm because we have this microphone here. Anyhow, so you should be hearing something, and you should be also seeing something.
Let's say that sound on Facebook.
Okay. But everything is registering that the sound should be good. Okay. So let's look at the audio mixer. Everything should be good. Yvonne Ashley Galabert, YAG. Many of you have heard of the YAG Foundation. What you're seeing there on your screen is a sea of pink. This was a march to march cancer out of tongue, running out of tongue, he, she, or whatever. Get cancer out the place. And I show this video because you saw how the people came out. Well, under her leadership and her organizational skills and all of the people that put together with her, as well as the people that just plain came out, because all of us have someone, whether in family or as a friend or acquaintance, who's been touched by cancer. And they came out. But I'm showing this not in the context of cancer as much so as in community involvement, inspiration, the power of people out there. And when you look at this and you see all of these, you see some people you know, you see a lot more that you probably don't know, but it's a C, a S-E-E and a S-E-A, right, of pink, of people. And I'm playing this now inspired by the interactions that I've had with Yvonne Ashley Galabert. Right? Lots of folks are feeling that pain, that emptiness, that loss, and I ask you to focus on what she gave and how maybe you can in fact jump in and help. You can't fill the void because you can't replace them, but you can fill some space to make a difference, right? Now you see, leading them down the road is the 10 sleepless nights. Now, at some point in time, you'll be able to see Edgy there along with everybody else, but we don't have to see him. All we're seeing is the people chipping down the road and knowing that they enjoying themselves. All right? Good thing. I will just say that I believe this is on my YouTube channel, Douglas Canton YouTube channel, for those who might want to see the whole thing, because I'm not going to play the whole thing today. But I just wanted to do this in the context of all the people that you may know and the inspiration that it may be to others as we remember Ashley. Now, you look at this thing here and you look up the road and you see people and know that, hey, this is just a portion, because by the time we get down into town, you could see all the way up to Anglican Church, nothing but people. All right? Yes. Chipping away. Chipping away. All right? This is how we do it. So when we going to do it again, all right, when we gonna do it again? The question is out there. So let's do it. All right. So with that, I just wanted to do that small reflection. Everyone can do something in our community. No matter how small, it don't have to be big, but be a part of the solutions. There will always be challenges. Some people call the challenges problems. But as I just say all the time, problems is proof of life. Okay? Look at it that way. Problems as proof of life. Let's keep it that way. We're here and we can carry on and we can be stewards to make this world a better place. All right? And so much for that for now. All right?
No, we there.
We there, my son. We there. We have a stewardship to fulfill, not just to sit back and complain. Now, so I'm going to shift gears now because we got a lot of people out there complaining, right? Oh, yeah. And they're complaining about salaries and raises. Salaries and raises. My son, I've seen a few little things in my lifetime. And when it's dissolved, you have people in politics who afraid that somebody ain't gonna like the decision that's made. And so because of that, they vote no. You got those who don't watch and say, well, you got 8 of them there over there, that's enough to make it pass, so I could vote no. And everybody who think that they shouldn't get a raise gonna say, yeah, I like he or she. So they vote no. But they pass anyhow. And they collect the raise.
By voting no, I
and
didn't
none
want
of them
it.
give you a disclosure yet that show that they take the raise and they get and they give it to charity or something.
I didn't want it. I didn't want it. They forced me to take it.
Oh, Lordy me.
Like the lieutenant say, he ain't want a raise. He don't agree with the raise.
Well, I wasn't going to go there yet. I just did over the legislature. Okay? Well, folks, for those of you who either have a short memory or were not aware, the senators' raises was tied to the lowest paid commissioner. Okay?
That was housing parks or the
Well, it
agriculture?
depended on who was the lowest. Parks and Recreation used to be the scapegoat.
Right.
Used to be the scapegoat. But then what they did was they decoupled, meaning that the legislature is not in that relationship with the executive no more.
Right. I think Javon James did that.
So it don't matter who do it, it was done.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, what happened now is that if the executive get a raise, the legislature that are looking, we mind that. Why that good for not to go and pass the law? I just tell you, that's the vibes that I have seen. All right. Now, if a raise is warranted, I'm not one of them people who just go around begrudging folks because of what money they make. I ain't doing that. Okay. But under the circumstances that people are concerned, complaining, and otherwise upset about what's going down here, well, they're entitled to feel that way based on whatever information have been fed to them. Okay. So it's just one of those things. We have this commission and we have a law, and one of the things that used to happen was that when raises were given, the raises would kick in in the following legislature. So you could be in the one legislature and vote for senators to get a raise, let's say, back in the day when they were coupled, okay, or however the Senate could do it. And the bottom line is that you in that legislature could not benefit. And that makes sense because you don't want people being able to self-deal.
Mm-hmm.
So it would not kick in until the beginning of the next legislature.
So if you don't get a king, you lose.
Right. So now, here we are with pay raises that not only are done by a commissioner, but a commission, but apparently the understanding is that, because I don't have the law in front of me right this minute, if somebody have it handy, I want to quote chapter and verse, that's fine. So technically it seems that those raises could kick in any day now, something to that effect. So in that sense, it's a kind of a self-dealing. And the lieutenant governor now, when I bring this in, lieutenant governor is saying, hey, the person in charge of the commission that gave you the raise, you now take that person and you give them a big job, a bigger job,
Mm-hmm.
bigger money, whatever. It don't look right. It don't look right. Okay? You know, as a judge, you have to avoid even the appearance. Well, I don't think it is limited to judges. But this is where we at. So, me, I am not here on the station to have feelings about it. Because they pass a law. What does the law provide for? And you know, sometimes you see 99%, but you got 1% you don't see coming. Okay? And it's just like this thing here. Now we have the organization renamed to One Communications.
Mm-hmm.
And some jobs have been outsourced and some jobs have been eliminated. But they get EDC benefits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now all of a sudden, all of them there who want to say, I fighting for you, jumping up and saying, no, this is wrong. We got to do something about this, do something. Ain't a daggone thing the legislature could do. Okay? Follow me. A EDC agreement is like a contract. So when they write up the contract for the first time and sign off on it, you can't just void the contract for no reason or because you ain't like what they do that's not prevented by the contract. See, that's the key. If the contract don't speak to this particular issue, don't say that they have the flexibility to do A, B, and C. If the contract don't stop the company, then the legislature could jump up and down all they want to. Okay? And understand that they're performing for you. It's like a show. Put generic up on the stage or dub. It's a show. Okay? And this is why we are where we are. We like a show.
But I have a question.
Not as much as Melee, but we like a show.
I have a question, being that I know you have a legal mind.
I ain't here representing in that level.
No. But you ain't representing in that level. But I know you would probably know the answer to my question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, being that there was VIA, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they did a name change.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess they had a company change or something?
No, a name change is no different than you had a senator that changed the name. 2 senators that changed the name.
Yeah, but...
Okay, but they didn't have to leave because there's no longer under the same name. Go ahead.
No, I want to know if it was because they had a company buyout or they just changing the name for whatever reason. Because they're no longer using anything that belongs to Via in terms of payment portals and stuff like that. So
They're not, or they just renamed the
they,
portal?
they're not like Via had an app that you could go on and pay your bill and stuff like that.
Okay.
They
I
stopped.
mean, the telephone pay is still working. I know that.
Yeah, the telephone pay is still working, but the app where you could go on and select your account and pay your bill and so, it doesn't work anymore.
Okay.
So my question is, they stop using stuff like that, right? So now, is it because it's a new company that took over? And if so, that means the contract they had to buy should be null and void.
No, it's not a new like I gave you an analogy. You the same person, you just change your name. Okay, that's all it is. It's a corporate entity, and usually when if it was a merger, a buyout, or whatever, you get the benefit of the and the responsibilities of the previous company. You don't, it's just like.
So the benefits
Hess had to clean up the oil spill and whatever, the name change and the name change and name change. That duty don't just go away unless it's negotiated away.
So the benefits just change over to the
Now,
the new administrators.
Yes. Keep in mind that if they have in some way changed their accounting system or made modifications, that an app that used to work before may not work or may need modification in that context. So that's another possibility there. That's another possibility there. So we'll see accordingly how we how we're gonna deal with that there. Okay, but yeah, that's the key thing I want to focus on is the fact that people out there manipulating people. Are you watching this person in the White House saying all of these things, and all these minions he have around him saying all these things that is lie? I'm not talking about the iffy thing them. I'm talking about the things that is just outright lie.
Wait.
And you got people out there who don't get riled up by what they hear that this person said.
Doug.
And go out and act on it, right?
Doug.
Yeah, but let me finish.
How dare you call him a person? Anyway, go ahead.
Anyhow, they're, as far as I could say, they're not a robot. They are being. They got blood and everything else. I see blood that come out the ear, right? It was a real ear, right?
That wasn't
Okay.
nothing ain't touchy.
Anyhow, the point is that the people have to recognize when and how they're being manipulated. That's what it is. So I'm just saying that more as food for thought, so people can just recognize this manipulation that'll be going on. Because all this jumping up and down, this ain't right, that ain't right, we're going to do something about it. The contract speaks. The contract determines you can't do ex post facto laws. You can pass a law that going to go back and take away benefits that you could have that law going forward, but you can't go back like that, especially when you're jumping into things where you have contractual. Okay, because they would come right back with one of the suits that they will bring a detrimental reliance. You entered into an agreement with us and we relied on your word, and now you have done this and damaged us, and you have to pay us or have a injunction against what it is you're doing, so you're forced not to do it. Okay, the government not to do it. Anyhow, I don't want to get too technical. I'm just saying, people, a law was passed, a commission was created, all right? And how is the law worded? Does it give benefits immediately upon a conclusion by the commission? If that's so, it's designed in a way to give the benefits then. The key is, all right, you can't promote somebody to a higher level job and they get a $10,000 raise, and then tomorrow you upset with them, you can't put them back in a job that's less than the one you put them up into. Okay? Now, you said one, you said two, right? I saw a situation where an HR manager gave a raise, ultimately in a position. They made a mistake and they gave a raise. Okay? And legally they were bound. The problem that happened was that position was in terms of the union contract, had other parallel positions that were in the same grade. So you give this one person the raise, you have to give the rest of them the raise. Okay? Now, I love unions. Okay? But unions are made out of people. Okay? And sometimes people in charge don't have the best interests of the people that they represent.
Ain't that the truth?
Because they had them. The union had them by the I ain't gonna say what, but had them. And you know, sometimes you gotta watch who to go out to dinner and who and all this other stuff to understand the real relationship. Okay? Can they pull back the person raise? They intimidated and did all kinds of stuff and pull back the person raise. And that person is forever going to have a bad feeling about that. Okay? And me, when I see them people, I make sure anything I negotiate, they end in that room. Or advising anybody in that room. Okay? I'm just saying, folks, you got to look at what really going on. Okay? You got to look at what really going on. And in the context of this race thing, before you get upset, find out what the law says. Okay? And find out who passed the law and who was in co-sponsor and everything else, and get them to speak to, well, why did you do this? And why did you do it that way? And and how you going to fix this now? If they still there. Okay?
I was about to say if you could find them.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Now, today, when as a practicing attorney, you can file your cases and documents online. You don't have to go down to the court with a whole bunch of stack of paperwork, complete package, and give them a package. That they ain't done, it just ain't required, simply because you can file it electronically now. Okay? Part of that coming into being was this thing called a PDF, a portable document format, something that anybody with computer these days, or even phone, iPad, whatever, take for granted. It's a way of making a document or scanning a document and putting it in a format that is as good as the real thing. Okay? Fine. So when the commission's supposed to send, we top of the hour, so we'll take a break. When the commission's supposed to send notice of their decision, they could send it via email to all who is concerned. Now, the question is, do people read the email? Okay, let's say they read the email. Did they forget that they got this thing and they had a certain deadline to respond or do whatever the challenge or whatever they had to do? Because I don't know if this thing had a deadline and a deadline passed and whatever, so they could jump up and down all they want to and they can't do a thing. But the bottom line is, you can't selectively be responsible and irresponsible. You're just plain responsible. And if you're responsible and you did something irresponsible, then you want to take what you get.
Stand up.
But people, I'm just saying to you, Yes, you might feel a way, especially because of the economic times, that this ain't the time to be doing this and that and so forth and so on. But you need to go back and look at the law, because the bottom line is, if you pissed off, and you're going to be pissed off because the law ain't going to change in a tiny manner to make you feel better, whose law is it? Okay? And did they do their due diligence? Now, going out the door now, since we are at the top of the hour, you see, it had a legislator in the States that told his town hall people that he signed off on something and he didn't know what was in it. When I was driving up here, I know a senator and an ex-senator in St. Croix that did that. And, good luck and sheep luck. In the same, because they get away with that one. Oh, I just signed off on it because they tell me, we're going through this enough time, and just sign it. And I watching this thing in amazement. In amazement. Anyhow, with that, it's the top of the hour, and we want to big up those real people who put their money where their mouth is and does walk the walk, and as well as the business talk, and support WSTX. All right.
Stand up for the law. Stand up for decency. Stand up for compassion. Stand up for respect. Stand up for your community. Stand up for your future. Stand up for the Virgin Islands. WSTX FM 100, the soul of the Caribbean.
AM 970 WSTX and more continuous music variety.
Hi, this is Abdul Ali, host of Community Digest, distinguished Toastmaster, and a member of the St. Croix Toastmasters Club, reminding you to tune in to Community Digest on Saturdays between the hours of 12 noon and 3 p.m. Our goal is to educate, entertain, inform, persuade, and partner with you as we move forward as a team to create a balance and to develop meaningful strategies and plans for the future. So don't forget, that's Community Digest, Saturdays, 12 noon to 3. There's something in it for everyone.
Where can I get some herbs for my cold?
Natural Vibes.
And my children, it looks like they're getting it too.
Natural Vibes.
And my husband, he doesn't have a cold, but I think he may need a little something for stamina, if you know what I mean.
Natural Vibes.
Oh yeah? Where is it?
498 Strawberry.
At the top of Paris T's Roti Shop?
Yes,
I think I heard of them. I heard that they make smoothies with sea moss and juices, and they have detox products. And I saw on social media they have incense soaps and they do health consultations. Is that true?
Yeah, man. Come on down to Natural Vibes and see for yourself.
Follow us on social media at Natural Vibes LLC on all platforms, or by calling 340-77-VIBES. 340-77-VIBES. Health is wealth. We look forward to serving you.
AM 970 WSTX.
Yes, folks, we have a call, but I want you to know that we don't have to go nowhere. Right here at WSTX, we got Natural Vibes.
Yeah.
Oh, I press 1 and 2, and I guess Don Felipe? Okay. I came to answer you, and
In there.
Okay. You know where to find it? Natural Vibes.
Hey, I ain't going nowhere.
I guess you hear the ad in the background when you were holding on.
I ain't going there with you, dog. Doggy, I ain't going there with you.
Line 1.
Line 1.
Okay. Good morning, WSTX.
Morning, caller, you on the air.
Good morning, dog, and your partner there, this Don Felipe. Felipe calling you from Santo Domingo. How you guys doing?
Oh man, we just here vibing, trying to be natural with it.
And I listen because, like I say, I believe if you were still in the senator, in the legislature, we'd have got everything retirees need, because I love your slogan. If anybody can,
as long as you put the creator first and bring everybody else along. You agree?
I never forget that they were all them senators had the same, what you call it, motto of operandi,
Yeah, modus operandi, yeah, to take it and put it in motion. But I gonna tell you, right? You know, I hear you, but it takes a group of people with a vision. Okay, you got the ones in there that have a vision, and you got the greater majority that's following. Some of them afraid to move, and you know, I was I remember when the legislature had the vote come up to on salaries, and it failed by one vote. And if you had watched the whole thing go down, you could see.
That was 6905.
No. Before 6905.
So that 6905 was another.
Right. It came up again. Not in my. I don't think in my time.
But you know something? I spoke to old. Now I don't call it old. You let the old of me. Gentleman out of Grove Place. You know, known Calypsonian. I call him no name, and he let me know that listen, if they don't make the money in there, they're a bunch of fools. But Dougie and your partner there, unless we go back to paper ballot, and I mean get rid of them voting machine, nothing is going to change, and the same set going to be getting it over and over and over again. You and I know that, and your partner there. Okay, down here, the last election, I'm going to keep saying it because I'm backing Peggy Mohan and this one here. Okay, down here, the last president, he had about a couple thousand voting machines out of Brazil. And tell me, like 4 parties were got president. The rest of them and the people say, no, the machine could be fixed. Okay? And they stopped the voting machine, they went back to paper ballot. I may try one day election. You understand that day, and it was almost an early TV station. I think it close to 100 TV stations now here. And of course, I didn't look at all of them. But in my city where I live, Dougie and your partner there, it was over 8 million people vote with paper ballot. For the presidency, the carton back with plastic around on 4 sides, as tall as a dinner table, and half the size of the dinner table. They dropped the president ballot in the box. For their congressman, which would be our senators, they dropped the congressman ballot in another carton box with the same thing. All the poll watchers were there. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me, please. By 10 o'clock the night, they don't have the count and the winner. Fair and square. Of course, now it's big thing for politics. You know? And nobody protest and say they want to recall. Because it was done fair and square. And Dougie and your partner, until we go back to paper ballot, ain't nothing will change. What's the next election? We're going to get in again. And I tell you, bro, we got to do it and keep fighting until Columbus come back. And with that, then, my brothers, I will hang up and listen. But by the way, my condolence to Eddie. And no personally, like everybody else in St. Croix. And I should be up there next week, and I think I'm going to hold off for his funeral. Well, all right, my brothers. And I see them put them 2 big bulls at the head of the farm. They get fighting over the money thing. And another thing, Dougie, I hear nothing but a rich, how it come in, direct deposit check or a promise note. I will hang up on this too.
Okay.
They're going to send it in an IOU.
I owe you.
Yeah. Well,
I owe you. They always doing this I owe you thing all the time, man. That's why I call it retroactive.
yeah.
I owe you.
Well, listen. I don't know if the caller know or the public know. We are using paper ballots. The only difference is your vote is being counted by a tabulator. But we're using paper ballots. Even I use a paper ballot. But I use the automark machine to mark the paper ballot, and then I discreetly stick it into the tabulator, and my vote is counted. So, unless somebody can manipulate that tabulator somehow, and still if they try to modify the counts, they can go back to the same paper ballots and do a recount, a hand recount, and the paper ballot and the tabulator supposed to match up. So I don't know what else to say on that subject.
Okay. Well, you know,
'Cause I've heard it, you know.
People. I remember when folks was kicking up a storm about direct deposit. Okay. And if the money isn't there for the check, the money isn't there for the direct deposit. If you go to a bank and you present a check to cash and there's no money behind it, you're just in the same position as if there was a malfunction in direct deposit. Clearly, direct deposit has such a high degree of efficiency that is the way that we do things. But the reality is that there's just this distrust of any type of interaction with electronic devices. Sometimes with good reason, sometimes with good reason. But in the States, they had this organization that worked with all the states to make sure that if you were registered in one state, you couldn't go and register and vote in another state. Let's put it that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keeping the system honest. With the so-called stolen election claims and everything else, you have states that without justification withdrew from participating in that organization. Don't make sense to me. You open up the door to fraud, the more you take away things that stop fraud. So when you get rid of the inspector generals, you get rid of the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, you get rid of these different things, we are on a road that's making fraud more easy to be done and not detected or not remedied. Okay, I see the phone was ringing there for a second, but my one? Okay. And so we're going to come to the caller here in a second. But the key thing is this, that when those phone companies had put that $1 charge on your bill, that they had no business being there, and they have 150 million customers, I mean that they made $150 million, and that $150 million could pay a whole bunch of attorneys. So you individually, for your $1, take them to court. By the time you don't pay $500 to $700 to an attorney just to take your case for over $1, Now the Consumer Finance Protection Board was the muscle man that used to tell them, no, you can't do this, you're wrong. Check it out, refund it, and furthermore, here's this fine for doing it in the first place because you know you were wrong. Right? But they went and they neuter, okay?
Chop, chop.
Chop, chop. The Consumer Finance Protection Board Bureau, boom. When you see people doing them thing, they tell you to your face, we're making it more possible for fraud to occur. And when you support a team, well, like it's basketball, you know, people will be behind a basketball team. The team go do no wrong.
Yeah.
But that's how I see it going on there with what's going on. Anyway,
Yeah.
We got line one. Good morning, WSTX.
Grand Rising. Hello.
Yes, good morning.
To you too.
Yes. Grand Rising, Mr. Marvin Man, and Grand Rising to your co-host. I know who that person is, but you know who this is, right?
No, this ain't the Marby man, you know.
No?
No, this ain't the Marby man. This is Doug Canton. I wish I had some Marby here. I need to tell him he need to keep some in the fridge here regular for me.
That's a gooseberry man.
I think I give you this homework here when I tell you if what you call it, forgive me, because I know it's Thursday, right? And I give you homework that for the people on the Virgin Islands, if we have $25,000 cap when we have to go against the government, how much does the Senate, how much is their cap is? Aren't you the one I put the question to?
No, but no, it wasn't to me. It wasn't
Okay,
to me.
I could wait to you, probably the afternoon show. I
Right.
could wait to you then.
Okay.
Do you know?
No, but when you said top, what do you mean in terms of a raise?
Meaning if you have to sue the government. That's what.
No, that's across the liability law for the Virgin Islands limited to $25,000. You know, now, so
I'm asking you.
Mhm.
I'm asking you now, right?
Mhm.
What's your name?
Canton,
Okay,
Doug Canton, Doug Canton,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm asking you now. How much does this require for the senators or anyone in those departments? How much are they? Do they have a $25,000 cap?
No, what happens is that first of all, if you whatever you do on the legislative floor, okay, as a matter of your job, okay, as long as you stick within your job, you're fine. In particular, in session, okay. This is why you don't talk about people individually, because if it's outside the scope of your legislative duties, okay, you're opening up yourself to other things, and if it's not in session, the bottom line is that if you look at like libel and slander, you have to look at what the limitations are, because you're not saying. I don't know how to directly answer your question, but the $25,000 liability. I'm confused. Well, I don't want you to be confused.
My understanding, there is basically like $500,000 for the senators, and I think what goes for the people should go for the senators as well. Okay, because they are done by C-Trade. When we look around, which is the sitting senator Angel Boquez has a sexual allegation against him. Now, the senators form an ethics committee against Stephen Payne, which I'm realizing now is like something like a pyramid scheme going on. You check, but we just go off at emotions and not paying attention to what's going on. As of yet, they have not called a session to have Senator Boquez remove or even on paper. I guess they want the people to forget. But out of settlement, we the people have to deal with $25,000 when I stand to be corrected. It's $500,000 while in session because he is a sitting senator, and we should pay attention and follow the money. I don't know who you is, but I just come to shoot the message. Now, in my closing, because I think it got to be the afternoon show, right? Heritage, these senators acting as though they don't know that the governor is getting a raise. Okay. I was one of those people, and I kind of from St. Thomas, right? It was myself and another individual called the guest. All right? From 2019, I telling I because St. Croix people I used to listen. This is strong woman. And up until last year, till I prosecute me, till I had I little minions come for me and say just talking nonsense. When it was Act 6905, Section 6 and 8, they keep beating the drums and telling her you even the senators on top of one central station. But it ain't not because you know what? After the last sitting, the Lord paying commissioner, the senators now are going to get their raise. So all them sitting in bed together with the governor. They could fool some people, but they can't fool all, especially when I know I and the guest was beating the drum. So, with that being said, Mr. Carlton.
Yeah, but before you run, because we touch on some of what you're talking about earlier, right? And you're right, because it was one thing when the legislature was coupled with the executive. So when the executive got raised, they got raised. But now,
Act 6905 go based Act 69. 05, I used to say O. You know you got to do a word, right?
Right.
I would say O. Act 6905, Section 6 and 8 states that based on the lowest paying commissioner, that's how they get paid. Now the lowest paying commissioner, I could tell you right now, is making $135,000. Okay?
Right.
So they are going to fool the people and be like, oh, we didn't know. Well, they damn well know. I tell you, I keep telling them, and the man telling them, and I tell you, at that time, Donna Fred Gregory was in thing, she said her minion, hush down, woman just talking nonsense, they shut me down, okay? I said, look, the last, at that time, those people, you know, much people move from the sitting seat. So the same senators had the right to look in and say, you know what, we could correct that law. You check? But they don't know we don't act as though because the people don't act after emotions. They don't know the people act after emotions. The governor don't know, and the senator just waiting to get paid. Look at Marvin Biden. Look at Fonseca. We deserve this money. But look at how our island running. And St. Croix still have to bring the bodies over to St. Thomas. No abattoir, no light, no railing. You know, and you know what would really frustrate me, Mr. Campton, is the segregation of all St. Thomas people is you put them in, you who put Brian in. I didn't have my hand in that pot, and if I could have put my wrist in. You know the black box that we were supposed to be dealt with Mr. Fraser, he himself said there was 3,000 missing ballots missing, okay? They went along as everything Smokey Fred, who were running as senator, his thing came over to St. Croix. We have a lot of glitch. Every time it's election, we have a glitch. St. John still have to bring their ballots over to St. Thomas. Make it make sense. We have a lot of corrupt people inside the election system, and it starts with the root of the problem.
Okay.
But we always want to find an excuse instead of going to the solution and doing what we got to do. I want them to talk the talking. I am tired of all people just sitting on being complacent, and we just have to listen to the story of Queen Mary. As though we see the injustice from our own people. In a white man, the white man might pay them, but it's our own people, and they bring it right in front of us, telling us, and we acting as though we're surprised.
They need to stop voting. They need to stop voting for Watlington over there to go on the board, because he's the root of the problem over there.
Listen, how you could put it? How you could put a piece to watch? How you put a rat in my cheese? I can make them. Just so much rat in cheese.
Yeah. Exactly.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, exactly. But we can't do it over here, so you guys got to do it over there.
All right. Okay. Well, you know what we need to do? We need to clarify see, because when you say liability, you have all kinds of different things we talk about.
Another caller.
Yes. Good morning, WSTX.
Morning, caller. You on the air?
Yes. Good morning.
I was wondering. I was wondering where you was.
Right. Well, I live out. I'm in Houston right now under a lot of rain.
Right.
Thunderstorms, flooded. But I was coming to see my granddaughter and graduate. Come what me?
Uh-huh.
And they are.
All right.
So
You, you,
you are still
you,
getting ready?
you know I got a new name for you, you know.
Oh yeah? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Nibs Columbus.
Oh, Columbus, the Putia?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, you the travel boy.
Well, you see, he say he discover America, you will laugh as hell. Columbus.
So let me ask you something. Who was doing the navigating since you were traveling?
Well, I had a little somebody with me.
So he lost. He had somebody else navigating for you. He lost.
No way I'm gonna get lost.
Don't worry. When I
tuned in just now when I heard the caller, it was the one before, talking about the situation with Bolkes and what had happened with also a former Senator Payne and so forth. And, I totally agree with him. This has happened before where there was some sexual charge or some type of charge brought against even a senator before, a former senator before Payne. And in his case, I understand the legislature of the Virgin Islands paid out whatever, I guess, to not say to shut the person down, but as a settlement.
Yeah.
Now,
right. And see what
since that they have formed an ethics commission and decide to deal with Payne in the way that they did, why didn't they do it, or why don't they do it in the case of Bogus?
Well,
I mean, we have to stop this one-sided type of justice, and you're the only kiss those who you favor and push the others away. I mean, we're sending a very, very bad message to our children. And, I mean, if you look at it even on a much broader and larger scale, and it has to do with the way some people call themselves leading, governing, presiding, and think that they are right. I mean, you look at this new president that we have in place. He could bully any nation, tell them what to do, what not to do. He and his family now were rated the richest in this Bitcoin business and this type of thing. I mean, what signal are we sending to our children? Then these guys like to go to graduations and clapping for the journal, hugging and taking picture with them. I wouldn't want them knowing their me. I mean, come on. But again, and this is what gives politics a bad name and cause politicians and leaders to be painted with a broad brush. There's a lot of people in office, elected office, would not do the foolishness a lot of them do it, but then they get painted with a broad brush.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you. Well, you know that every legislature is unique. When every legislature is unique. Come sign and die, the next legislature come in. It's a brand new person you're dealing with. Okay. And as such, they have, they have standing rules and regulations that they try to maintain, and then of course the rules that are operating in the legislature are subject to change with each one. Okay. In that context, what I think is unfortunate with when they deal with these sexual harassment cases is that the public never knows how much they were put on the hook for by the offense. Okay? If a policeman go and do what you call excessive force, and as a result, the victim or the victim family sues, and you have a settlement, usually you know something about how much that settlement was.
Of course.
Okay? And you should, as a matter of transparency. That's the part of it that I would be most concerned about. To accuse someone is not to make them guilty. To accuse someone means you need a process by which you can assess whether they should be found to be guilty or not.
Exactly.
Okay? So you have to have a process, and the process needs to be transparent. That's what I think is needed there. Now, the issue of liability, you know, the problem is liability in different respects. Like, for instance, if you are damaged in our hospital, okay, there's a thing called malpractice, and doctors have to have malpractice insurance. Now, that malpractice insurance is going to be based on the liability possibilities. So if you have a $25,000 liability cap, let's say, the liability insurance is going to be much less expensive as opposed to it being a $5 million cap, let's say.
Of course.
Right? Now, if it was to be a $5 million cap, one of the things that would happen is that the liability insurance would be so expensive relative to what doctors make here that doctors would not even bother to say they're going to set up practice here.
Right.
You follow me? So there's a balance to be made. But anyhow, everybody keep throwing around liability. The bottom line is you know, it's not like there's a one size fits all when it comes to liability. You have things like settlements that can come about, and if the law doesn't limit the settlements in that context, that it could be more than $25,000, then that's fine. The thing is, there's a balance, because I remember at one point in time they wanted to remove the liability cap for purposes of suing the government and for medical malpractice. And it is possible to remove the cap and create a situation that I just alluded to, where literally it would be so that all of a sudden we would have no doctors in the Virgin Islands. Okay? Simply because the liability issues were such that they wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
Right, there's a lot to think about.
Right. There's a balance that needs to be done. Anyhow, that's kind of off topic in what she was saying, but what I mentioned earlier was that it got all kind of shenanigans going on with the way people manipulate people's emotions. The fact of the matter is a law created the commission, and that law will determine how the commission operates. Did the commission operate consistent with the law? And then there's the question of, if they reach a conclusion and a recommendation or a decision, what is there a process by which to question that? And let's say that process has a time. When would that time have run out? And you know, all of these questions, and they just need to come and bring these to the public, because everybody turning upside down. But the bottom line is that the law determines the end result, and if you don't like the law, undo the law. Now, you know, Mr. Nibs, that in the past, when raises were given, raises were done in such a way that they would be inured to the incoming legislature / administration.
Exactly.
Okay, well, legislature in particular. The administration now is in a situation where, if you've been following this, okay, from just as a point of view of news reporting and people responding to what they see in the news, if you put a man in charge of a commission, and that commission gives this administration a raise that is going to take effect during this administration, as opposed to the beginning of the next administration, right? and then you turn around and take the person who was in charge of that commission and give them a bigger job with more pay, it don't look right.
Of course it doesn't.
And
let me just say this, Dougie, and I glad you went there, because I recall when this thing unfolded about this new compensation package, and senators started talking behind the desk, they didn't know about this thing and all of this, even though it was my ICM brethren, Pastor Dave Nielsen, who ushered the bill in. You know, and then, but I remember at that point, the governor said, he don't care what it is they say or do. He won't get his. He said that. Okay? So, he got his. And the thing is now, my good friend, LT, Lieutenant Governor Rhodes, I see where right now, he's back in. He goes, you don't want it.
yeah, well, but from the perspective that I mentioned before, it doesn't look right. You know, without passing judgment on it, beyond that, it don't look right. You know, and you.
I mean, it is sad, Dougie. It is sad. In this, I mean, how? I remember. Let me just say this quickly. I remember. God rested in his grave, Roy Saw, the administrator of St. John. I'm sure you remember him. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just airing that there. And I remember him going to some guys from Public Works one day. I was at his office and I walked down with him, and they were just there. They were digging a hole or a trench, and they were just them more than sitting down on the hole, the shovel park up, and then a little bath right next to the hole. So he came on, he said, tell me something. Do you want to get paid 2 weeks? They say yes. But how do you want it? Just check. Because you don't work for it. And so much for the house was Governor Albert Bryan Jr., with all of that kind of thing behind his name now. Could people are still without roofs? 1,000 people now go for 8 years for Jesus Christ. You should give away your salary. You don't want none at all. And at least as the pittance as might be, since you can unravel the federal money just to get the work done, you will be offended. But how could you be asking for more pay?
Well,
Listen.
No.
I've talked to children mostly. Some adults, some
but
adults in between.
Mr. Nibs, Mr. Nibs, let's be fair, Mr. Nibs.
Yeah.
The governor didn't pass no legislation.
Right.
The governor didn't dictate what's in that legislation.
True.
You understand? So if you pass something that says you're going to do this for me, and the time come now for you to step up, you find all ways to have step or look at it different or whatever. You know, I'm playing like advert matter, which is it was in the hands of the legislature to make sure that this thing was going to work to the benefit of the people. This is why raises just happen for the legislature in the incoming legislature.
Exactly.
Okay?
But the thing is this though, I don't care what the Senate could have signed a bill that doesn't govern us, break law. Who you have to obey this particular law?
No. What I'm saying to you is this: if they see, because you have to, you can't. I refuse to be on an emotional level with this. Okay? A law was drafted up, just like the law that gave EDC benefits, and the EDC company outsourced some jobs and eliminate some jobs. But if the contract that they entered into doesn't provide for them to be sanctioned for doing these things, in other words, doesn't say they can't do it, right? Then we have to look at who drafted the contract and the terms of the contract, because it could happen again.
Exactly.
So you gotta go back to the basic contract. In this case, you gotta go back to the law as drafted. So I'm saying people who get emotional against the governor, all right, are missing the point. The legislature passed a law that created this confusion, made this confusion possible. You got to get to the root of it.
You're right. I'm smiling, but let me say this. I'm sure the governor is listening now, and he clapping, and he say, you see what I tell you? You see, it's blaming me.
Well, you know.
I just get what I want from them.
Well,
and that again is one of his.
Right. Well, but then the people need to deal with them. Okay,
yeah.
but the bottom line is we are concerned about people not getting due process in the states all now. Okay, and we have an administration that's going out of its way to ensure that they don't get due process. That's breaking the law.
Well, we expect you a felon in the White House.
Wait! Don't just distract Gerard. I'm just saying I understand it's a felon, but what I'm saying is that is the governor breaking the law, or the governor saying that you pass a law and you lead me to have an expectation, and now you expect me to say, you know, well, they shouldn't do it that way, and this, that, and the other?
Well,
okay, that...
Let me go back saying that they use the word sin or die a while ago.
Sin or die, yeah.
What I call it, they all will die of sin. That's what
let me... All right, good thing.
Okay,
all right, yeah.
Yeah,
I just had to put that in there because otherwise we're gonna be doing the same thing over and over and over and over. If you got
insanity, my friend.
If you got people who are saying I'm going to vote yes for this piece of legislation, but they don't understand what the legislation is saying.
Do they ever?
And then you come back again, and it's like, okay, so you don't go to Juve with this person, you like them, you're going to vote them into a senator. Well, they're going to pass legislation just like they did in Juve, maybe. I don't know.
Do they ever read these legislations? That's my question.
I used to read them.
That's you, Doug.
Yeah, no, I understand, but when you said they, the bottom line is people, they talk about retroactive, the money. When you have blame, they're going back. Sure.
Yeah, but see, I work in the legislature.
I understand.
So
we got somebody on line one.
Two different times.
Good day, WSTX.
Yeah, good morning again, Dr. Felipe.
Morning.
Listen to your partner then.
This
lady from St. Thomas that just got what I think they call a strong woman.
Yes.
You heard what she said about the voting machine, right? Now, Doc, do you remember when, I don't know who it was, the organization, I believe the House of Frederick said, Peggy Moher, she could help me on this one. When they take the Board of Election to court about finding out about the black box, you remember that?
No, I don't recall right now.
Okay? They went to court. Now, the Board of Elections is supposed to be public, right? Government owned. Okay? It's not private. But then the judge had ruled that the people can look into the black box. Like your partner next year say, well, he the vote paper, partner the guy come again. But then we don't know what been count. And again, like I said, there's a lot of people know about that case that went to court about that black box. Miss Strong Lady said, me I told me I told her. Last in 1970, Sharon Tamale. But yes, there was a case that went to court, won the vote election to open up that box, and the court ruled against the people. And another thing too, stop beating on Donald Trump and use it as to me as a distraction for all the problem, because we got one problem in the budget, and I say we have no, because I still am a person, and as a son said, I'm paying the tax every year.
Mr. Don Felipe, do you believe in due process?
Is it happening in the VA?
Yes. Do you believe in due process?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Of course.
All I am saying is this. The law says you can't just come up to me, put a bag over my head, throw me in a vehicle, and then put me in a plane and send me someplace. Okay? Because if you had stopped to give me due process, you'd have let me finish. I listen to you. Let me finish. If you had give me due process, you'd have find out that I had a right to be here and I wouldn't end up there. Okay? And everything from the very beginning. Due process. That's all I talked about.
The next expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, this been going on from day one. This been going on from back yonder with immigration deport. They may not been used by this.
No, I'm not talking about deport.
Wait.
I'm waiting on you. Go ahead.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Okay? Remember, most of these people came across the Rio Grande from Mexico. They came in illegally. There was thousands of foreigners that applied legally and was on the waiting list to get a citizenship and green card. Why change the law now? See what's going to happen to the mayor of Chicago now, Johnson? They're going to get rid of him. They are the money he spent on those people. I'm not against,
You're mixing apples and oranges. You're mixing apples and oranges. I'm talking about due process. Stick to the issue. The issue is due process. You're taking me all over the place.
What due process? You came in the country.
I'm not talking about coming in the country. I am saying that you can't.
Okay, wait.
You cannot.
Let me finish my time, man. Let me finish my time.
Okay.
I had a girlfriend in Salata Maria High School. Her father was an abandoned in St. Thomas, okay? When I came out of the army, she was over the age of 18 years. And she went to school, I believe, from junior high and went to 12th grade in St. Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
When I came out of the army, she was done getting notification from immigration that she had to go back down Ireland. Okay? And she was there legally at the ban of her parents that used to ban people back then in the 60s. Okay? And if we didn't get married legally, she would have been deported back down Ireland after you.
Right.
So this is nothing new.
No.
Like I say,
No.
stop using a distraction.
No, I'm not
Don't
using a
take the
distraction.
Ireland with the problem.
Okay, that's fine, sir. Okay, my time. No, man. The time right. Okay, good thing.
Anyway.
Anyhow, moving right along. You can have your own opinion, but you can't have your own facts. Okay, don't walk that way.
True.
Due process.
Due process.
Due process. You accuse me of something. Whether it's a court, immigration hearing, whatever. That process is where you're to find out what the facts are, what's right and what's wrong. When you don't follow the process, you'll get all kind of problems. And all I'm saying is you got to follow the process. Bring it back to the Virgin Islands law, you got to follow the law and see what the law says. So in that context, once you show that the process was followed correctly or incorrectly, then you have a decision according to which direction to go. Because if it's done correctly, then this is the result. If it's done incorrectly, this is the result, the repeal, whatever, or rehearing, doing something. But there has to be a process that we all can depend on. And yes, we did have a time when people were here and banned and so forth and so on, and they had a process. The person got notice and had an opportunity to go through a process. And in this case, part of the process was marriage, okay, which in this case cured everything. You know? So, and we move on, okay? So, Dan Felipe, as far as I can see, we still good. All I'm saying is process is important. Okay?
Due process. Anyhow, let's go to housekeeping.
The bottom line is due process isn't limited to governors or presidents. It's also in courts. It's also in civil boards and in organizations where you are employed. Due process has broad application. So I ain't got no time with the gentleman up there. You know, the people who vote there and the creator will deal with them there. All right?
Okay.
Now it's 10 minutes before the hour.
Yeah, Marshall coming soon.
And Marshall coming soon. So I just need to touch on a few things here.
Yeah, before
and then
you
got
touch.
a few things to touch on.
Yeah, so before you do that, if you or your loved one have considerable hearing or vision loss, the I Can Connect program is for you. Visit icanconnect.org or call 340-692-4267. If you just get out of the hospital, you need a walker, cane, or wheelchair, VIUSET can assist in lending you one of those items. Just call 340-692-4267. We have our DME closet that we can assist you for until your insurance kicks in so that you can have your own wheelchair, walker, or cane.
All right, folks.
I do good?
Yes, you did fine. All right, just looking at some things that are coming up. All right, you got the Thompson family reunion that's coming up in July 9th. All right, that's looking really, really down the road, but I'm mentioning that because I want folks to start checking how days a Thompson are related to a Thompson and everything else, and making sure that they could plan it. So mark your calendar. From the 9th of July to the 14th is this upcoming family reunion. I want you to know this as early as possible. And I need to get a little genealogy tree with some names of some Thompsons and the other family names that tie into it, so people could start knowing and participating. All right. The St. Croix Foundation for Community Development reminds you about the Patrick and Amelia Williams Opportunity Fund. They're accepting applications through June 2nd, and as the students must be accepted to an accredited institute of higher learning and submit a 4-minute video description, okay, describing the impact of higher education on their life, and they have to submit an essay that describes a time that they persevered and overcame adversity. All right, so Virgin Islands students just graduate, yeah, all happy, got the diploma and everything. Just know that these folks got $4,000 to give to somebody who just follows the requirements and is chosen out of those who apply. All right, if you are parent or someone else who is interested in this, you can call the St. Croix Foundation 340-773-9898 and get more information, etc. All right, as well as the link to where to get the application. Department of Health has this wellness walk. I keep complaining or noticing that your flyer have ladies on the front of it. And you know, I know if the man them standing to the side and just watching, are they going to be walking too? Are they invited, or is this a women's only walk? Anyhow, no, I know it's for everybody. I just instigating here. It's in St. Croix at the 31st of May. It's Claudio Marco to Bodo Park. All right, and it's going to be in St. Thomas on the, it should say it was in St. Thomas on the 14th of this month, okay?
What's the time?
All right, it's from 2 p.m. So, okay, good thing. The wellness walk, so you can connect, talk, and laugh in the process. Okay, good thing. Yeah. The Women Race, the 41st annual Women Race is coming up June 8th, 5 p.m. All right, okay. And you know, for those of you who are not aware, if you're a Virgin Islander and want to participate but you're away, there's ways to do it virtually also. All right, but for those registering in person, okay, you can, from May 15th, registration was open, and there are various places that you can check in with as far as the Women's Coalition. I tell you to contact them and find out about more about the registration, how you can register. You can find out more on their website, WCSTX Women's Coalition STX.org, and it's information there about the women race. So, folks, get ready, guys. Get ready to come on out there and cheer your women on. Yes, women, children, young ladies, get them out there. It's a positive thing to be involved in. All right? All right. In the future, we're going to be talking more about summer camps because it's that time. Looking forward in June here, the 22nd. You got the Party Festival coming up on the 22nd. All right? And you've got the anniversary gala for the 10 Sleepless Nights on the 14th of June, and that's going to be at Bethlehem Sugar Factory. And of course, when we get up to July 3rd, and we've got the Quelbet Tramp, and the 4th, they got the Folk Life Music Festival. So we got big things going on the 3rd or 4th of July with regards to the Folk Life Festival. We also have Mango Melee coming up on the 13th of July also. And the 19th of July, they got Tartoirs, folks. Tartoirs. Let's see if we're going to go with the traditional coconut and pineapple and guava, or who knows, maybe guava berry going to do an upset. You never know. All right? Just like the Preakness and the Belmont Stakes and the Kentucky Derby, you never know. The supporters might come out strong. All right. Well, folks, it's almost that time, and I can just remind you to make sure that you do your random acts of kindness. Don't follow Jared and just do a random act. Make sure that kindness is at the front of it all the time.
Sunday man do a random act.
Okay?
A random act.
Yes. And, folks, you know, you might want to sing that song to not leave an unfinished task. Don't leave behind an unfinished task. Well, life is such that you live it today. As Otis Johannes will tell you, tomorrow, who promised you tomorrow? You better do it today. All right? Good thing. I saw Otis the other day. You know, still look the same. You know, he ain't getting more handsome with time, but he all right.
Well, you know, in the great wisdom of my mom, she always used to say, tomorrow is promised to no man.
To no one. Don't make it sound like a promise to woman. To no one.
When she said, oh, come on, I said, I'm going to do it tomorrow, she should be like,
Okay, folks. Well, as we are getting ready to head out the door and you're hearing our voice, I want to treat you to a little bit more of edgy and the one and only Yvonne Ashley Gallagher. Okay, here we go. Yep, and coming down the road.
I ain't hearing no.
No, I ain't turn on the volume. I ain't turn on the volume because it's one of those things. We're here talking, and I just want people to see. Yeah, I know you want to hear the music. If that's the case, go to the Facebook page. But right now, you see them boys and 10 Sleepless Nights. They're jamming. You see Edgy sitting down and that banjo going, and then you see that sea of pink all the way up the hill, folks. You could see it in this shot. All the way up the hill. People like peas. I just want to know when we're going to do it again. People like peas. Gerard,
yes,
I know
sir.
you could see it, you know, but you want everybody else to see it too, you know? People
Yvonne
like
Ashley
peas.
Gallagher. You know, that's my old client, you know.
Who's that?
Miss Gallagher.
Oh my goodness.
I used to spray a house.
Small world.
Yeah.
Small world.
Just ask her about Gerard. She'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, she saw me there. She said there's no one like you.
Okay. Well.
You know,
Unfortunately, we won't be having that conversation anytime soon because she's out of my reach at this point in time, and I ain't trying to rush it either which way. But we all have an appointed time
who?
And place. And
who's out of your reach?
Hmm?
Who out of your reach?
Okay. Yes. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, yes. Yes, for real. Okay? So, yes, that smile, that kindness, that blessed expression. So, Edgy is there and strumming on his banjo.
Wow.
No, I'm just saying, in the video, he's there strumming on his banjo, and you see all of these people in pink because the YAG Foundation and the Cancer Society and all these other people are out here supporting the fight against cancer. This was October. I don't even remember the year that this happened, but we need it to happen again. Cancer is one of those things that we just got to continue the effort of making sure people understand about nutrition, exercise, the self-checking techniques that are available for various types of cancers, things that you may observe going on. Something has changed. Hey, check in with your doctor and see what's going on. Men, okay, don't let me have to put Darby on you now, okay?
Don't cough.
Make sure you check that prostate, all right? Make sure. Even if you want to be like that and only do the PSA test, at least that's a start, okay? And folks, the PSA tests have a range, and once it passes a certain level, something going on, yes, okay? And you want to live, deal with it early, all right? That's the way. That's the way. You don't go like dog. And that's the way you check prostate. So folks, do your random acts of kindness, and of course, if you're feeling kind of bored, do some premeditated acts of kindness. You don't have to worry about being called up on an inquisition before the local or national Congress, okay? Do those acts of kindness, and make sure that you keep somebody on your list, somebody you just can't stand, and do it for them too. Because the mere fact that you just can't stand them mean that you already got them in your head living rent free. So you might as well do something for them. Because when they're gone, you're going to miss them. You're going to miss them. All right. Well, there's so much more going on St. Croix that we could talk about. We could stay in here for another 2 hours. And I want to just say a big up to the folks out there who are doing the caregiving in our community. Yes, you are doing something that's very much appreciated. It might be sometimes like there's not a whole bunch of thankfulness out there, but hey, you continue to do what you do. If nothing else, Doug appreciates you. All right, Jared, that's it for today. The marshals haven't come in and
yeah, don't go for the marshal right now.
Kick us out or anything else. But I got a free paper, so I trying to make sure it burns slow.
Trying to make sure it burns slow?
Yes, watch these people in pink coming down the road, folks. If you are there looking on Facebook or YouTube and you're seeing this thing on the screen, this is St. Croix, your St. Croix. You're seeing faces you haven't seen in ages. You're seeing faces that you know and see yesterday. You even see some faces you ain't want to see. It's all good. It's all good. So this is a throwback in time that we need to bring back to the present and do this again. Yeah. All right. It's a wonderful sight. All of these people out there in the spirit of the fight against cancer. Okay, so Jared, you can go and get the the marshals to come in and we can get set up here accordingly. But folks, WSTX, your community-minded station. We're right here with you. All right, good thing. So let me see what's going to happen here. All right. Yes, folks, WSTX AM 970, and let me see what we're going to do here. Walking down the road, Edgy and the rest of the 10 sleepless nights, them to the front leading. Yep, coming back to see them once again here. Alright, there's the song, man. Making sure the song is nice and strong. There's the man himself, Edgy, and Stanley, and the crew having a great time.
Well, this is Joe alongside Roger G and Byron Lee and the Dragonaires. For all the ladies. Shoulda know.
For as long as we're jamming in the party, you keep whining on me, pushing everything right back on top of me. Yeah.